broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 54 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, and I'm here with Trevor. No Damon again this week, so if you're a big Damon fan, still listen to the show because you should. But we've got no Damon this week. Hopefully we will have him back next episode. I know we keep saying that, but unfortunately, Damon's got a lot going on, so hopefully we hear from him soon. And you also might notice that I sound terrible.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a cold here going. I was just telling Trevor that I think maybe the bassiness in my voice will maybe the listeners will like the bassiness. I don't know. So
well we can't have you sick every time we do an episode. So
I mean that's a fair point. I prefer not to be sick every episode we do, but if the fans like it, I mean you got to give the fans what they want, right? So
right.
So. Well, the first thing we want to talk about today is we have an announcement. I don't know if you want to make the announcement, Trevor, but I think we should make this announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked for this. We've been working on this for actually a little while, but when this airs tomorrow, you guys will probably notice that we have a new logo. So it's something that the three of us have been going back and forth on for a while now. We got someone to help us with designing it, and I think it turned out really good. I really like the castle design with the microphones, and I'm excited to share it.
I'm excited to share it too, and so excited. We actually got this logo like well over a week ago, and I was like, I'm gonna share it right now, and then we were like, no, let's wait for the next episode so we can share it with everybody with the next episode.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess let us know what you guys think. I really like it. I hope that you guys like it too.
Yeah, and so what you'll see from us is, and not to ruin the surprise of this, but if you're listening to it, you're already seeing it anyway. So it's a castle, much like the Cinderella castle, but not the same. If any Disney lawyers are listening, it is not Cinderella castle. Let's be clear about that.
It's a castle that happens to look.
Yeah,
like
it's a castle.
Yeah,
it's a castle. Okay, so it's.
But you'll know what we're thinking with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously. And instead of what do you call those? The turrets, the towers. I mean, I don't know. What would you call them? The side.
Those are spire. Or yeah, I would call them spires, I guess. But
okay, well, like the side part of the castle where people go. They shoot. Archers shoot out of those things. Not at Disney World, obviously, because there's no need to defend that castle. But I don't even know where I'm going today. This is going to be a crazy show. But so instead of those, we have microphones. It is gold. It looks gorgeous. So. Not only are we going to replace all of our images on social media and our images on our podcast apps, but we will also, at some point soon here, start selling some merchandise as well with the logo on it. So if you want to represent Welcome Home Podcast and put that out there to everybody, you'll be able to do so soon enough. So we're gonna do that sometime soon here. So stay tuned for that announcement when that comes. But we're just excited that we have a new logo.
Yeah, this is the biggest step, and then like you said, Tom, we're. I want that on a t-shirt. When I look at it, it's like, yeah, I want to wear that on a t-shirt.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I hope other people do too.
Yeah.
So no, we're excited about this. It's been a long time coming. I think those of you that have been listening to the show for a long time know that the original logo that we currently have was designed by me. I am not a graphic designer. So, we did the best we could, and I think it took us a good long way. I'm not that sad to see it go. I'm excited for the new logo. And excited for everybody to see it. So stay tuned for that. Check it out when you're, looking at your podcast in the morning. Check it out and see our new logo. Let us know what you think. We'll probably put something up on the Facebook post about it, maybe a poll or something. And if you hate it, then we'll go back to the drawing board. But so
please don't hate it.
Yeah, please don't hate it. We spent a lot of time working on it. We like it. So
yeah.
But anyway, okay. So that's that. Let's talk about. So we actually kind of talked about this.
We did.
Yeah, a little bit. But I saw this posting about it, and I wanted to talk about it more because we didn't really like talk about it. So, and one of our listeners actually kind of told us about this a couple episodes ago about DVC changing the membership agreements to give Disney greater flexibility in assigning use year. So basically in the past, Disney has assigned a use year to a residential unit when it was declared for DVC inventory, and all points were allotted to a specific unit in that use year. So once the use year was assigned to the unit and all the points were points within, it was never changed. Now, when Disney sells points to the public, you can assign any of the 8 use years to those points. So a unit may have points with different use years. It also means that when Disney reacquires points by foreclosure or right of first refusal, they can change the use years of those points as well when it sells it. So this change applies to all DVC resorts. It's new language that's already in the master declarations for Copper Creek and Riviera when that's coming through. So. This was talked about a little bit and by our listener, and not to say that we didn't believe our listener, but because we did. But there's also a lot of times where DVC guides will, where I've seen that DVC guides have maybe told people things that were not true.
There's a very strange. You're right. When you talk to someone over the phone, it's like 3 different people will give you 5 different answers, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And again, not to say that I wasn't skeptical about this. I read into this, even a couple episodes ago it made sense, right? Like if you think about it, when Disney buys back contracts, they do want to be able to sell them at whatever use year they have, because if somebody's buying direct through Disney, they don't want to tell them, oh no, you got to wait until we have a June available, and then it's like 6 months before Disney finds one, right? Like,
I was trying to find out and trying to figure out with this is where's the downside, right? Is this screwing over DVC owners somehow? Is it DVC somehow being greedy, or does this affect the resale market at all? So I actually had reached out to our friend Nick over at a DVC resale market to ask what he thought about it. And so I just wanted to read that really quick because I thought his response was interesting. And he really just said, I think this gives DVC more flexibility so they can better meet demand. Now, if they have a long wait list for members wanting to add on with September use years for Bay Lake Tower, for example, they don't have to only focus on 1/8 of Bay Lake Tower resale market, but whatever use year they want to meet that demand. Makes it much easier on them. Really, this is a no-brainer on their part. I don't see much of an impact to resale, really just benefit to Disney. So that's what Nick said. So it sounds like it doesn't really affect resale at all. It just sounds like it's more convenient for Disney and really more convenient for the DVC owner. Now, I am sure we have some hardcore listeners that listen to the show that, probably have found a way that this is Disney screwing over members. So if you do know that, please email us and we will read it on the next episode.
Yeah.
But, I look at it as a good thing. It definitely gives them an edge over resale. I feel like, a little bit, because resale just kind of has to deal with whatever the current use year is, whereas Disney now can just be like, oh, you want March use year? Here's March use year, and that's definitely a benefit to them.
Yeah. And if you think about Disney, when people come to Disney, it's, with the intent, you want to buy direct because you want to have the perks, and Disney wants to give that to you. And I think before it was kind of I feel like they were getting into a situation where they realized people were coming to them and saying, oh, I want, Bay Lake Tower with a September use year. And Disney says, yeah, we can do that, but it's going to take a couple of months. And in that time, that same person goes to the resale market and, buys up the contract. So then, of course, Disney sees it as, hey, we're missing out on that quote unquote resale. But again, it also gives them the ability to have more people buy direct. And again, it works definitely for adding on. It works for anybody that wants to talk to Disney direct. And yeah, I think that, like you said, it seems like this is how Disney's giving themselves an edge over the resale market. I do agree with Nick, though. I don't see the resale market going anywhere because, Disney's still going to charge you a markup to to buy it direct, but that's because you're getting the perks and everything with it. And, you know, whether the perks are worth it or not, totally different discussion. And it's really, you know, on a per person basis, if they decide that it is worth it or not. But yeah, you know, why would they not give themselves the flexibility to do this if they could, right?
Yeah. And I you know, I should also point out, by the way, this change doesn't affect current DVC members, right? So it's if you already have a contract, it doesn't affect you. Your deeds retain your original use year. If you sell your membership, it'll stay on the resale market. Then it'll stay with the same use year. So it doesn't affect any current owners. It's just if you're buying new owners, that language is in the new master agreement, right? So that's really what's coming up here. So, and by the way, I want to give credit for this article to dvcnews.com. So make sure you check that out. But yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a downside to this. Now, I'm sure somebody will email us and tell us there is a downside that we're just not seeing. But to me, it sounds like a great thing for both members and for Disney. It gives them the opportunity to sell whatever use year they want. And then also it gives members the opportunity to essentially choose your use year if you're buying direct. So
yeah, I guess the one question that I saw somebody bring this up on Facebook was, I guess the thinking around it, not a downside, is that I don't actually know what the spread is for use years. I don't know if anybody other than Disney knows what the use year spread is across all the resorts, but I got to wonder if this is partly a way for them to balance it out as well. Like maybe there's some places where, you know, they're really heavy on a September use year, but they don't have, like, the inventory is very light on like a February use year. And again, you know, that kind of depends on when people are using it, right? Like your use year, really, you should be trying to buy a use year according to when you travel, because you don't want to be, you know, booking your stuff like 10 days before your use year's up, because if you do have to cancel, you know, that's it. Like you basically lose your points, right? So I can see, I can see where this is like kind of a good way for them to, like, if they do see that, you know, one resort is more lopsided to a certain month than others, maybe this is a way for them to balance it out too.
I mean, my assumption is they're spread out equally, but I mean, that's probably a dumb assumption. That's probably just me being naive about this. My assumption has always been that all the use years are equally represented. But again, this is, you know, and some of our hardcore listeners that are really into the minutia of DVC, you know, have told us before, it's like, you guys don't know anything about DVC, do you? It's like, well, you know, we do, but some of this stuff we don't, you know? This is very deep into, that management side of it, which, like I said, you know, maybe someone is aware of that, aware of use years and how it's all inventoried and everything. I know for myself personally, when we went to buy our contract for the Polynesian, when we talked with our rep at Disney, he asked us the question. He said up front, you know, which use year do you want? And at the time, you know, we were kind of like, well, I don't know, but, you know, here are the months that we plan to travel the most. And he was like, oh, well then, you know, I'll give you this use year. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, yeah, it didn't seem like a big deal to me at the time, but that now that I'm into it, I kind of realized that it is important. Sure. But it's one of those things that, you know, I don't know how many people when they first got into Disney were necessarily thinking about how the use year spread is out there. No, I mean, it's not something I thought about. And truthfully, I've never really, I mean, use year hasn't really ever mattered to me. I've never been at a point where I'm like, oh no, I'm about to, you know, come up against my deadline, my banking deadline, or I'm you know, my, you know, use year's coming up. I got to wait to book. I just have never had that be an issue. And I know it is an issue for some people. So I'm not downplaying that. I just know for me, I kind of ignore my use year. I don't even care what my use years are. March and April. I have two of them. And I've never had an issue with them being March and April. So I tend to typically travel in the summertime, so that's probably part of it. But you know, it's never something that's actually come up as a thing for me.
Right. Yeah. So I guess. Yeah, I guess whatever comes of them changing around the users, I guess we'll have to wait to see if it does actually have an effect. You know, what if all of a sudden, you know, everybody has a December use year? Does that mean I guess, does that govern when people are going, or does it really matter? Because like you said, most people, the easier is when your points reset, but does outside of, booking immediately when your use year ends or when it begins, does it really affect your travel all that much? And that, I guess that's kind of an open-ended question to anybody out there. Like, I'd kind of like to, I'd be curious to hear if anybody else has a different angle on this, because I don't see it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear it too, because I feel like there is some way that this is bad.
Or maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe this is good. Maybe this is all around a win-win for everybody. But again, I'm just not seeing it is all. So,
well, and let's say too, they're saying flexibility, right? So it's not that Disney is like, I would doubt that Disney's just going every single request they're just giving, right? I would bet there's a limit to what they can do. That would be my assumption, because all this is saying is that it gives them the flexibility to do it if they want to, you know? I mean, maybe they don't have to in certain cases, or maybe they don't want to in certain cases. Maybe they have limits on how many times they're going to do it. So I don't know the answers to any of that. So, and I don't even know if any of our listeners do. That's, kind of backstage stuff that's going on that we really don't know about unless you work for DVC, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I do find it an interesting conversation though, and I would love to hear some opinions about it. So write us, send us a message on Facebook. Please don't call us stupid. You can if you want to. I mean, it would just, it'd be nice if you didn't. So
I don't think anyone's called us stupid to date. And I mean, if you want to call us out, that's fine. Give us a reason to, right?
Yeah. And I mean, if it's because we're stupid, that's, I'd appreciate if you didn't call us that. Maybe lack of knowledge. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So let's stop talking about this boring topic of use years. And let's talk about Star Wars. You want to talk about Star Wars?
Oh boy, Star Wars Land. Who hasn't heard of Star Wars Land?
I'm kind of disappointed Damon's not on this episode, because we're talking about toys, and toys are like Damon's thing,
Yeah. Well, sorry, collectibles, because he doesn't take them out of the box.
Well, yeah, that's right. And I'm looking at my Figment Funko Pop that is sitting outside the box right now, that's smiling at me, and don't care that it's outside the box. I'm happy it's outside the box.
I wouldn't disagree, because I take all my toys out of the box too. So
that's what I'm saying. Toys are meant to be played with. Yeah. We could say all this stuff because he's not here. So
I'm sure he will correct us when he gets back on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. He's somewhere. Damon is cursing at us right now. So
yeah.
You can't take it out of the box. It loses all of its value.
While he's unpacking his house, yeah.
Exactly. While he's unpacking his house.
Those guys. Yeah.
Yeah. He just got goosebumps, and he doesn't know why, and it's because we're trashing taking toys out of the box.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if you watched this, but I actually live streamed the Star Wars fan experience thing that was happening in Chicago a couple weeks ago.
No, I didn't live stream it, but I did see a lot of the stuff that came out of it. Like little bits and pieces, yeah.
Because there was a lot of stuff they revealed there, which is funny because like they revealed a bunch of stuff on something that was like being live streamed on like Facebook. Like, it's kind of, and I appreciate that Disney kind of varies how they make their announcements on things, and I think this was a cool way to do it. But what we're talking about here is, we've talked before that guests will be able to customize some different toys as part of Star Wars Land. One of those things is going to be you're going to be able to build some droids. We got some more details about this, and basically guests will be able to build either an R2 or BB series droid, which stands roughly 18 inches tall, remote controlled. The control functionality is just kind of like forward, backwards, left, right. Mm-hmm. But there's also stuff you can, like, there's accessories you can add, like blasters and tools and stuff like that. And so, basically they're so customizable that they'll even be able to react in Star Wars Land. They'll be able to react to things in Star Wars Land, which is pretty cool.
So people are going to be driving these things around Star Wars Land.
I'm telling you right now, if it's a BB one, it's going to get punted. I mean, somebody is going to kick that thing like.
Even outside of that, I mean, at 18 inches tall, how, like, somebody's kid is going to step on these or trip over them or something. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong, and there's something we're going to talk about in a few minutes here too that also kind of relates to this, which is part of this conversation. But I mean, nonetheless, I think these are pretty cool. I mean,
They are. I mean, they look really good. Like I looked at the pictures. I saw like you could make Rex. It looks like,
yeah,
which is kind of cool for anyone that likes the old Star Tours.
yeah.
With Rex, like, yeah, it's I mean, who wouldn't want these? Like, I remember having like C-3PO as a toy when I was a kid. You know, the Mattel, you know, cheapo plastic ones. Like, yeah, why would you not want a well-built droid?
Well, and I have one of those remote control BB-8s they came out with a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. My wife bought it for me, and it's, you know, you control it from your phone, and it's awesome. But when I got it, I was like, wow, this thing is small. It's so small. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very cool, but also like so tiny small. And I was like, not that I expected something huge. I mean, not that I expected like a full size BB-8, but it was, I don't know. And it's also one of those things that I played with like 3 times, and then I was like, all right, that was, you know,
kind of goes on a
fun.
shelf.
Yeah, it's sitting on the shelf behind me as I'm talking to you right now, and I've not used it in a year at least. But what's cool about this though too is you could swap out panels, stickers, leg pieces, and then also I guess you can insert like a personality chip, so you can give it different personalities too, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and I guess when they open, there's going to be a resistance chip, a smuggler chip, and one for the First Order. So
I feel as though so. Please, Disney, don't come after me for saying this, but
oh boy,
this seems like something that could actually have a fairly decent modding scene behind it, as in like, you know, getting aftermarket chips and pieces and stuff.
where people are going to hack this thing, like
Yeah, oh yeah. Like I mean, yeah, depending on how these chips are set up, yeah, someone could probably figure out how to, you know, make them do whatever you want, so you could get a really customized, you know, a droid out of it, which again, this is getting into, you know, pretty hardcore Star Wars fan domain, but I don't know. I mean, I do
it could
see,
happen. I could see it.
Like these things do not look cheap at all. Like they look like decent, like model kit level droids. So
yeah,
why not?
Well, and I also thought I'm just reading more of this article too. And by the way, the article is from Polygon, is the website, but also it's on WDWNT, where, you know, we get a lot of our stuff from. But the original article is on Polygon. But the chips are significant because once they're installed, it kind of dictates how the droids will react to the land.
Right.
So if it's affiliated with, you know, I guess, you know, a droid affiliated with Resistance personality chip will be happy in areas of the land occupied by resistance forces, but that same droid might be scared or on guard when held down by First Order troops. So that kind of stuff is really cool. I mean, yeah, they've really thought of a lot with this. That a lot of detail, a lot of neat things that they're doing, especially with this kind of thing, you know, where they're going to be interacting with the land based on what kind of chip that you put in them.
Yeah, for sure. I did notice, actually, kind of going back to the idea of these things getting punted, is I do see that you can it looks like there's a bag you can get for it. So I think, you know, if you're carrying it around but it was in a bag, and then, you know, like you could pull it out and use it in the different areas instead of like I mean, when it first opens up, there's no way you're driving one of these things across Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, no way that's happening.
Like you pull it out, you use it in the area, and then you put it away. That seems a little more reasonable to me, because especially for I shouldn't say for the price. These things look like they're going to be expensive. They haven't actually released the price yet, but these don't look like they're going to be cheap. So
I don't think they are at all. Yeah,
I couldn't imagine, you know, putting one of these things together and then, like you said, having some kid punt it into the bushes.
I mean, I just see that happening. I just see it getting kicked as, like, not on purpose. Not,
no.
No, not on purpose. Just, you know, accidental.
They're at that height, right? They're small enough, and they're, you know, kids are, I mean, oh my God, like, you know, kids and adults are going to be so hyped up about Star Wars Land. They're not going to be looking where they're walking. Like, And then you put a bunch of small droids in their path. Like,
you're going to be looking up. You're not going to be looking down at your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think these are cool. I'm not like a toy guy, so I don't know if I would buy one. I don't know. But I do think they're neat looking, and I don't know if anybody has seen that video, that live stream from that Star Wars event. They released some details about like some of the other, like the stuffed animals they're going to have, some of the other like action figure type things they're going to have. What I really think is cool is that they're making all of the like stuffed animal type items look like they're handmade. You know, it looks like local people like, you know, sewed them together. Like it's got like they've got like a very handmade quality to them, which is kind of cool.
They're really making this out to be different than the rest of, or I shouldn't say the rest, but they're giving it a unique identity over like just buying standard merchandise at any of the stores, right? Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing a good job of it because, I mean, they could have easily... It's easy to screw this up, right? So...
this could have been the same stuff you could have found in the Emporium on Main Street.
Yep.
Like, they could have just done that. They could have just said, you know, oh, yeah, we've got Star Wars stuff, or like the same stuff you find in Tomorrowland, which... Actually, even Tomorrowland, they removed most of the Star Wars-related stuff. It's all other IPs now, But yeah, you're right. Is, you know, it could have just been, you know, standard Mickey Mouse stuff and all that. They're really going out of their way to say, no, Star Wars Land is where you get Star Wars stuff.
Exactly, and that's a good point because they could probably throw just, you know, Mickey as you know, a stormtrooper, or, you know, I don't know, Minnie as Princess Leia or something in there, and people would probably buy it. No one would look at that and go, oh, I can't believe that's here. Like, that would never be here. You know, people would just buy it. You know, right? But because I don't think you have people that are immersion snobs, like, right, that are walking around going like, well, that wouldn't be there. I mean, you know, I mean, but maybe you do. Maybe there are people that walk around, you know, at Harry Potter, you know, and look up and go, there's a plane there, and are like, well, there wouldn't be a plane, and, you know, I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm sure there's some snobs out there, I guess, that are have an issue with that. But I think most people would probably just not care. But I like that they're going to these lengths to, you know,
the one thing, like, I'm actually looking at the R2 and BB series droid heads right now, or the ones that they showed on the display. And to your point is, you know, they could have very easily put Mickey ears on one of them.
Oh God, yeah, they could. Yeah,
and maybe they'll do that in the future. Maybe they'll do a limited edition one that has like the Mickey Mouse ears on it, and, you know, everyone will be all over that. But
you know what though? Or offer it like right outside, like the Star Wars Land. I don't know. Put it like, if you're gonna do that, maybe just offer it somewhere right outside Star Wars Land. If you're gonna be like careful about that, you know.
So. In thinking about it, because this is kind of on the same level as the Banshees in Pandora, right?
Yeah.
So they've started branching out on where you can buy the Banshees now, if I recall.
Oh yeah, I think I saw somebody say that you could buy those somewhere else, but I haven't been to the parks. I'm on a long break here, so
right.
yeah. So I haven't been to the parks recently enough to know, but yeah, I've heard that you could buy them elsewhere.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if, for right now, you know, this stuff is going to be available exclusively in Star Wars Land, but then, you know, a year down the line, you start seeing, the droids popping up in other places.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. And, you know, I was thinking too, because even Pandora, which is really immersive, right? And it does a really good job of being immersive. Mm-hmm. There are still things that are there that take you out of the immersion, right? I mean, when you go up and you scan your fast pass, or it has big signs that say standby time, wait time, you know, standby time, fast pass time, that kind of takes you out of it, because, you know, the whole idea is, you know, you're not thinking you're supposed to be going on a ride, right? You're supposed to be experiencing these things. So I don't know.
I disagree with you on that.
You do?
Honestly.
Okay. Oh no,
yeah.
No. Tell me.
Because I think even with the fast pass and standby lines, like, yeah, you're right. They have to have that there. Yeah. But the way that they theme those signs, it does still fit in with the theme of the area. So like
Yeah, that's true.
Flight of Passage, the signs are still very, it looks like, I can't remember the name of the company now. It's totally blanking on me, but yeah, it's that company that's supposed to be working in the area. It looks like one of their signs. Even the fast pass scanning symbols, they're not Mickey Mouse heads. They are the corporate logo for the company that's running the Navi human interaction, right? Like they. You're
right. Yeah.
I do think that they went above and beyond, and I think you're going to see the same thing in Galaxy's Edge. Is that there will be. I really hope I'm going to make one of my stupid predictions, and I'm probably going to be wrong on this. But I think it would be cool if Smuggler's Run had the Resistance logo for the Fast Pass line, and Rise of the Resistance had the New Order logo for its Fast Pass. So like, because then the two different rides, it's like, because the park is kind of split down the middle like that. Yep. If the Fast Pass logos actually reflected that on where you scan your Magic Band, I think that would be cool.
Well, and this is assuming that they do Fast Passes at all. I mean, we all assume they're going to do it eventually, but they have said up front that there will be no Fast Passes to start off. So,
right.
I mean, I think everyone assumes that at some point they will offer Fast Pass there. I'm sure they built the lines and everything, but I mean, who knows? Maybe this could be a new thing that's not going to happen. I don't know. But by the way, did you see?
You really think that they will take out Fast Pass lines?
I don't think they would. No, I'm saying I don't think they would. I'm just saying it's interesting to me that they're not offering it up front, and that they've been kind of non-committal about offering it in the future.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't. It could be very well that they're going to plan to do it, in 2020. Like they're gonna be ready to do it. Crowds are going to dissipate a little bit, and then they'll be like, okay, well now we feel like we can offer Fast Passes. But I mean, I don't know, maybe they never will. I just don't know. I think it's interesting that they've been like, we'll give you updates basically when we decide otherwise. I don't know.
Well, I think we'll know as early as June 23rd.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But did you see the other one, the DJ R3X droid, which you could hook up to Bluetooth and be a Bluetooth speaker? Did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so
really?
since he's now the DJ at the cantina,
Mm-hmm.
you could get a version of him that has a Bluetooth speaker where you can play music through it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Okay, I actually like that better than any of the other droids, because I will use a Bluetooth speaker. And
yeah, exactly.
I will be
That's
happy
useful.
just let them sit there, let them, play my Spotify list, and that's great. And yeah, you're right. It is, that versus the droid, which, as you said, the droid goes on the shelf too, but you're not actively taking the droid out and driving it around.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see that being a lot more popular than the droid.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, because it is useful, unless it's like it's a really bad speaker. If it's a bad speaker and it just sounds like, I've heard some really bad Bluetooth speakers before, and it's unlistenable. It's like, why even use it? But so I don't know if that's, I don't know what kind of quality it's going to be, but hopefully it would be a good quality. So yeah,
I would expect a bare minimum from Disney, but I shouldn't say that, because they're not in the business of selling Bluetooth speakers either.
They're not. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say about the toys before we move on to this next Star Wars thing?
No. I think until we see more about it, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen here in the next month with Disneyland, because this is going to be our real first taste of how this stuff is going to shake down.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting, because I do feel like they're kind of holding back and waiting to make decisions for Disney World until they see how things shake out in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right? Because those Disneyland people are going to be the real guinea pigs here.
Yeah.
they're the people that are really going to be working through all the kinks on this stuff. So, do you want to talk about the Disneyland, about the opening at Disneyland, since we're talking about it?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So So yeah, I guess they did send out a communication to travel agents. Disney has announced that guests who have already booked a stay at the 3 Disney resorts from May 31st to June 23rd will receive an email with details about the reservation to access Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So for those that don't know, if you're staying on site, you get 1 time slot to get into Galaxy's Edge, so it's guaranteed. The instructions will be sent out to the email address on file. Each registered guest will receive a reservation time to view the land for the very first time. Guests will have a total of 4 hours in the land during their sole reservation period. If they leave before the 4 hours is up, they cannot re-enter. That's
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, they are being really strict about this.
Yeah, I feel, you know, they've learned a lot from Toy Story Land. They've learned a lot from Pandora.
Yep.
And, you know, I think we've all been talking about this for a couple of years, is like, you know, when Pandora came out, I was like, God, that was busy. How are they going to do this with, you know, Galaxy's Edge is just going to be wall to wall people forever. Right.
Yep.
And I mean, this is their answer, is that no, you know, we are now controlling how many people come in. You will have a reservation. You will not, you know, you cannot just go in there and spend all day there. Like that. Yeah. They don't.
You can't
want
just
that.
wander around all day. Yeah. You have 4 hours. How are they going to enforce that though? Are they like, how are they going to find these people? Like, are they just going to kick everyone out after that 4 hour period? How does that work?
I feel it's going to be kind of like the after hours events.
Where it's like you scan your band and then they're like, well, you're not part of this. Your time is not during this time. So
yeah, because that was kind of the same thing. Like I remember it very vividly because so when I went to the after hours event, this dude got real mad in front of us when we went to get on Space Mountain. Because we watched the fireworks and then we went straight over to Tomorrowland, and everybody else who finished watching the fireworks I think there was a lot of people that, even though the park was closed at that point, they figured they could get in one more ride, and they got to the front, or they got to the ride, and the people at the front, there was like 4 of them standing there going, you know, you need to show us a band or you're not getting in here. And you know, these people were like, well, what the heck? Like, what do you mean we can't get in here? And they, you know, we're explaining to people, sorry, the park's closed, go somewhere else. This is how Galaxy's Edge is going to go, is it's going to be, oh, you don't have the green wristband? Sorry, you're not getting in here right now. And, you know, they're going to say, you know, I think it's going to be like, you know, 8 to 12, 12 to 4, 4 to 8, like 3 cycles throughout the day kind of thing.
So everybody all during there's not going to be any overlap. So it'll be like, show up at this time, and then the time ends at this time, and then everyone get out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly going to be it. Because if you're booking a time slot, they're telling you, you know, you have to be here at this time, right? And there's no way they're going to do this overlap, because then they're going to have to be figuring out, well, we're doing, you know, the green and the blue ones, and the red ones are, you know, starting to go away, but like
that would be a disorganized mess.
Yeah.
Like, it would screw everything up. Yeah.
I can see 3 to 4 blocks per day, and it's going to be very, you know, you show up at 8, you're here till noon. Once noon hits, we clear everybody out, or, you know, or after 11:30, you know, they stop letting people with the current bands onto the rides, and then, or they stop letting new people into the lines. And then as they get out, it's going to be, you know, they're going to have people walking around going, if like, you know, it's going to be kind of like the new order, like stormtroopers being like, show us your identification, or we'll kick you out, right?
I think it would be kind of cool actually if they did that, where like they got a bunch of stormtroopers and they just sweep
like the whole place.
Yeah, just sweep the whole place, be like, you know, and have them just be like, get out, like, you know, just yelling at people to get out of the land. Like, that would be amazing. Like, they should do that. If they're not doing that, they need to do that.
That would be very immersive, and I would enjoy that. The funny thing is, you know, you and I think a lot of people listening to this would be like, yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And there would be so many people that don't,
at guest relations, yelling at guest relations people.
You know, people that don't understand Star Wars, don't understand Disney, that would be like, this person was rude to me and told me to get out. And it's like,
I demand free fast passes for life, a refund of every trip I've ever taken, and Dole Whips for the rest of my life.
I would argue for the Dole Whip myself, but yeah.
I mean, you know, that's true. but I mean, that's the kind of things that people do when they don't have the expectation they expect at Disney, is they demand all these things. And Disney, well, I mean, listen, I've complained at Disney before because they've made a mistake. And when they make mistakes, they go over the top and they fix them. But there's a lot of people that take advantage of that. And, a lot of people that will complain about small things and expect a lot in return. So you're right that people will complain.
This is different. Yeah, this is different too, right? Like and I think they're going to have a hard enough time managing people, for them to make it an immersive thing like that, because like to me, getting kicked out by the stormtroopers, I would have a laugh at that. I would be like, that was so funny, right? But there would be that one person that stands there and goes, I was finishing my drink and this guy was shooing me out, and how rude, right? And it's like,
even though they're telling everyone the end time ahead of time, like even though they're telling everyone you need to be out by noon, people would
someone will always forget. And it's sad. It's sad that we even have to have this conversation, but that's why I feel like it's just going to be a very hard, if you don't have the blue wristband, you're out. Like, somebody will be escorting you out of this place.
Well, there's the other part of it too, though. Like, whenever I see a stormtrooper at like Hollywood Studios, like, and they like, say, things to you, like give you commands, like, it's just kind of funny, right? You just kind of laugh at them, like, they're doing their stormtrooper thing, right? Like,
but you play along though, right? Like,
oh yeah, sure.
You're like, they're like, come with me, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. But that's what I feel like would happen though too, is like people are like, stormtroopers, they're telling me to leave. I mean, they're saying, get out of this area immediately. I'm not going anywhere though, because this is just all part of the show, but I don't know. I just think it would be a cool way to shuffle everybody out. But here's the other question too. If you say, okay, everybody's got to be out by noon, and you have all these stragglers, you're going to have some sort of overlap time where the new people are coming in and the old people are leaving, right? I mean, there's got to be some sort of half-hour period there where there's a switchover.
Yeah, that's where I think, they're going to start making that move probably at like if you're going from 8 to 12 and then 12 to 4, or maybe this is where like I was thinking, or maybe it's 1 to 5, because then that gives them that hour to kind of, push the remainder out and then start the next one. But I also realized too, I remember them saying that there's for the first month, there's only going to be the one entrance in and the one entrance out. It's not going to be that you can go back in the way you came. So that actually allows them, if you think about it, you can do, they can basically form a line and they can push people out of the park. You like having a line of cast members just advancing everybody to the exit. So then you don't get anybody that, stops it, like, cause then, any of the shops and the rides and everything, the people know, past a point, it's nope, we're going to say, time to go. Everybody like start from the entrance and push everybody out to the exit.
Yeah, I mean, that really makes sense. This is, here's the thing though, where are these? Because people have already reserved this, right? So we should be able to know what these time periods are, but I haven't seen it posted anywhere. I haven't seen anybody say anything about it.
Yeah, I've heard of people getting their reservations, but nobody has actually said when yet.
Yeah, like what their time period is, right? Yeah. So if somebody out there, if one of our listeners has a reservation, let us know. We'd love to know what your time period is, just so we can kind of figure this out, because we're speculating, even though this is a thing that some people obviously know already, right?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, if I was Disney and I was going to do this is how I would do crowd control.
Oh yeah,
because it makes sense, right? You have a single flow of traffic for entrance and exit, and then they let them have their 4 hours, and then it's start from this point. You have the line of cast members, basically like at the end of the parade when they have the rope and they're kind of walking the end of the parade. It'll be the same kind of thing, right? Like they'll just be okay, everybody, time to go, get out, and then once they've gotten it so far, they can let the next group in, right?
Yeah, and well, another thing I find interesting though too is that they're opening this to the public. So initially they'd only said that they were doing the Disneyland resorts, but now they're opening it to the public on May 2nd. They're opening it to the public for the reservations for May 31st to June 23rd, which I thought was weird. right?
Well,
It's like,
but those are again limited slots too. So that this is
they have to be super limited, right? Like how many people could it be?
Well, good question. Because I guess depending on, and maybe this is why they did it this way, is that now that they've given the people who are staying on site enough time to figure out, when they're doing their bookings, they've probably got a good idea now of, on these days we've got this many people, so then they can open up the remaining slots to the public.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that's what it is. I guess here's my question, right? So let's say you have your 4 hours, right? And everyone's immediately going to go get online for Smuggler's Run, right? That's what everyone's going to do, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so there's 2 hours gone.
Yeah, if you have too many people in the land, then you could end up spending the whole 4 hours waiting in line for that one ride, and then not explore any of the rest of the land. Like, what if it breaks down? I mean, it's gonna break down one of those days, right? Like during your 4 hour time period, wouldn't you be? You'd be so mad if during your 4 hour time period it broke down. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking here, like of the potential PR disasters that could occur.
So, oh shoot, I wish I did see a diagram of the loading system for Smuggler's Run, and
it's a bunch of different ride systems. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about Smuggler's Run is that like if you look at it from the overhead, it actually looks like the chambers of a revolver.
Yep.
So they load people in, and then it moves them around, and then they unload on the other side and they move back. But then there's multiple stations doing that. So I think
there's 4 of them from what I've seen.
Yeah. So
it's either 4 or 6. I don't remember.
Yeah. So at the worst case scenarios, if they have 1 or 2 of those running, you're not getting, the amount of people going through is going to be extremely slow. And that's where, like you said, you're going to have crazy long wait times. They would have to have all of them broken down for it to completely stop. And I mean, if that's the case, they've got bigger problems, I think.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think of, I read Marty Sklar's book, right? The famous Imagineer Marty Sklar.
Yeah.
And in his book, he talks about a lot about when you first open a ride, it's a huge challenge, especially an innovative ride, something you've never done before. It is a huge challenge to keep the efficiency of that ride up, right? So it's a huge challenge just to make sure that it stays running constantly. And in the book, he talks about like Ellen's Energy Adventure, the moving theater. At the time, while that didn't age very well at the time, that was super revolutionary, right? And it took them years to get it up to like 90, in the high 90s of efficiency where it wasn't breaking down all the time. So you got to wonder, and same thing. Look at Flight of Passage, or Frozen.
Indiana Jones is a good example if we want to stay on the West Coast. Actually,
if you want to go with West Coast, or I mean, even Dinosaur still breaks down all the time. So but
Indy's the same ride, and it's we're 20 years into it, and they still can't keep it running all the time.
But to your point, if one of those things breaks down, at least you still have the other 3 or 5 or whatever it is. But I just, with that limited amount of people and that limited amount of time, I feel like when you're putting a time limit on it, it puts them in a bad position if something happens,
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there for sure. But I guess the other thought on this too is that, again, this all plays back into what we've been talking about here, is that the way the reservation system works is that there is a finite amount of people that could possibly be waiting for the ride. So, let's throw it out there. Let's say, that they allowed in, I'm going to go really low on this and say like 5,000 people for 4 hours. Right. And let's say that, Smuggler's Run can move through, let's say like 1,000 people an hour. So you could feasibly, if everybody lined up, you could feasibly get them through, 4,000 people let in, 1,000 people an hour. So you get, everybody through in those 4 hours. But then, like you said, those last people get screwed because, they've spent their entire time waiting for the ride.
So there has been reports that the hourly capacity of Smuggler's Run is 1,800 people.
Okay, so actually, then yeah, back to what I was saying. At 5,000 people, you can get that amount of people through in less than 4 hours, assuming that everything is running at 100%.
Exactly.
But then, yeah, I guess even if it gets cut in half, that's still 900 people at a time.
Well, but let's also not forget though, that's the theoretical capacity. That's assuming everything works.
Yes.
that's assuming everything works. All the riders are moving as fast as they should be.
Well, no. Hold on though. I don't think that's how they do capacity estimation though, because that's estimating for optimal, and they understand that things cannot be running at optimal. So I'm sure that there's some averaging that they do in there.
I mean, I would say you're probably right about that. The article I'm reading says will accommodate up to 1,800 riders an hour. And also says it's a theoretical 1,800 riders per hour. So okay. I don't know. Like you said, they could be accommodating for that, in their numbers, I'm assuming. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people they actually let in there. Is it going to be packed? Is it going to be kind of, sparse? I mean, if I were going, I would immediately go to the ride, right? But I'm sure some people are not going to do that. They're going to go wander and, check out the land before they go do that. So.
It's funny. I feel, and I kind of did this with when we did the after hours parties, that the first thought is get on the big rides first. We actually didn't do that. We just started at one end of the park and went all the way around. We didn't get on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because when we went by, it was actually shut down. But then we went back or we continued on, and then we ran back to it when it was like 11:50 and the after hours event was done at midnight. So we got back there with like 10 minutes to spare, and yeah, we got on, and the funny thing is that at the end there wasn't any lineup. Like it was quick for us to get on there. So I guess that's something to think about too, is again, with there being a finite amount of people, maybe it's not in your best interest to necessarily be the first or like jump into the ride as the first thing. Maybe it is, you might actually stand better to wander around for the first 2 hours, let that initial crowd die off that is hyped for it, and then go get in line for it.
Well, here's the question though. Okay. So if the 4-hour time period ends and you're still in line for the ride, are they going to kick you out? Because like, what if I wait till like the last half hour of my time period, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get in line now. And they, there's still an hour line, and they, what are they going to do then? And second question, are they going to allow people to ride it more than once, or is there going to be a one ride limit? I'm just wondering.
That's a good question too. I think so. For the first part, I know, again, this is all based off of just my own experiences with, special events and how they work, is that past a certain point, they would just cut off the line. So it wouldn't be that you were in line and they would, tell everyone stop, sense. Get out. They would actually say, at this point, like I said, we got back there with like 10 minutes to spare. By the time we were into the line, it hit a point where there was nobody else coming in after us. So they obviously, stopped they stopped new people from coming in. And I feel that they'll do the same thing and that's where we were talking about earlier. If they have that hour overlap between the sessions, that gives them time to say, if you go in there at the last half hour, that gives you time to, get through the line, and then gives them time to escort you out of the park, because in that hour gap, that's allowing for, people that were in line or people that were, having a drink or whatever. They can kind of say, okay, get out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good point, and that makes total sense. I'm interested. This is going to take a high amount of coordination on Disney's part, and I mean, it's something they know how to do. I don't have any doubt that they'll be able to pull this off, but I'm just thinking of the crushing amount of demand they're going to get when these public reservations open on May 2nd. Like it's going to be a crazy amount, and I'm assuming they're going to do what they've been doing with the Moonlight Magic events, where they're going to have
The
a
virtual queue.
Yep, the virtual queue, which seems to have been working very well. A lot of people have, are happy with how that's been working out. But I mean, this is no Moonlight Magic event, man. This thing is going to crash this website.
This is next level. Well, no, it won't crash the website because the thing is once you're in the queue, that's it. But
it'll crash the queue, Trevor. It'll crash the queue.
Well, no. What it comes down to is it's the person with the fastest connection who's going to win.
Yeah.
So so this is me putting on my IT hat and thinking about how things work in IT is that I can bet you there's going to be people out there that are literally set up with multiple machines that are on this website and ready to hit it with like dive into it as fast as possible. I hope that Disney has something in place to stop people from flooding the website because there is technology to stop. It's called a denial of service attack, which is basically that's what's going to happen to them when this opens up. Is that they're going to get DDoSed by people wanting to get in there.
Especially the Star Wars fandom is very much
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Star Wars fandom is especially dangerous because you've got people that are passionate about it and they're also very tech savvy.
Yep.
So
that's a dangerous combo.
Yeah. So I can see, there's definitely gonna be some problems day one, but I can also see too, and I really hope this doesn't happen. If anyone does this, it's so tacky that you're gonna see people sucking up those reservations and then selling them.
I mean, it seems like it has to be connected to your My Disney Experience account, though. So I wonder if they'll even be able to do that. But I'm sure. I mean, people figure out any way to do anything, right? But
if there's a loophole to transfer it, or or maybe there's already people out there offering services to because you can add other people to your party in My Disney Experience, right? Yeah. So maybe it's they'll have one person booking for a whole bunch of people all at once. But again, maybe Disney's thought about these scenarios. I hope they kind of have, and that, it makes it a little fair for everyone.
I mean, I would hope so after the opening of Disneyland by itself that was, filled with fraudulent tickets, they would have learned from the original opening of Disneyland that there could be a bunch of fraud here. So, we're about halfway through the episode here. So I want to take a pause to do our ad, and we're going to talk more. We're going to talk more Star Wars after we do this ad here. So let's talk about DVC Resale Market. Our friends over at DVC Resale Market. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I love DVC Resale Market.
I do too. And so DVC Resale Market is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 11 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 2 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you are thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days, and nearly 3,000 contracts were sold in 2018 alone. So these guys are the best. They are amazing. I just saw that they have expanded to the West Coast. They just announced recently that they now have a guide out on the West Coast. So that's great too for you DVC members out there. Apparently he was a very, very popular DVC guide over in Disneyland. So now they're on the West Coast as well. So go to dvcresalemarket.com or call 1-844-DVC-PROS, which is 1-844-382-7767. Let them know that Welcome Home sent you. I cannot tell you how many emails we get from DVC Resale Market on a weekly basis telling us this listener, wrote us and bought a contract from us. I mean, all the time. Derek sends these things to us, and we just are like flattered by it all the time. I mean, it's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's honestly, I love getting those emails at work because it just makes my day better.
Yeah,
because I know you guys enjoy listening to our podcast, but we also like that you guys are, engaging with our sponsors as well, because that makes us feel good. And again, because we do actually really like these guys, and I mean, you guys heard me on the podcast. I use them myself,
as did I.
And we genuinely like these guys a lot. So we're so glad that you guys are engaging them as well.
Yeah, and so, if you do call them up, if you do go on the website, let them know that Welcome Home sent you. Again, it's dvcresalemarket.com or 1-844-DVC-PROS. So, great. I'm happy for them over there. They've been super successful, and they continue to be successful, as we go here. And we just love our partnership with those folks. They're just the best. And just so everybody on here knows, as a little tease here, we are going to have them back on this show very soon here. I'm thinking probably sometime upcoming in May here. So if you do have more resale questions, please feel free to send them, because we are looking to book them again to have them on the show. So please, send us those questions that you have about buying resale, about buying DVC, about any of that stuff. They will answer just about anything. So,
yep.
So let's go back to Star Wars. So here's my question. Mm-hmm. What do you think they're going to do at Disney World? Because right now they've said no reservations, but I wonder if they can't do what they're doing at Disneyland, right? Because Disneyland only has 3 hotels.
Yeah.
And whereas
Disney World would be like everything is, you're either on site or you're not going.
I mean, but it's there's so many hotels at Disney World. I just don't think they could do it that way. Like, if they were going to do this, they have to do it as like a random lottery. Right, that's the only way they could do it, and maybe only people staying on site can enter the lottery. But I mean, I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to wait to see how Disneyland goes before they make a decision.
That would be kind of sour to me if they said, even if you're on site, you're not
guaranteed.
Yeah. Or just because you chose to go to the East Coast instead of the West Coast. Yeah.
Can you imagine if they were like, okay, only people staying at the deluxe resorts could go? People would be so mad. People would be so mad.
People would be mad, but I've got my poly reservation, so sorry.
Wow, Trevor. Oh, man. We just went elitist on everybody.
I can say I stay at the poly.
That's true. You can. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's think about this for a second. Okay, so first of all, looking at the West Coast, right? Like you said, it's the 3 hotels. The big difference there is that there is only 2 parks. So from Disneyland's perspective, you got California Adventure and Disneyland. The part that makes this the most difficult is that Galaxy's Edge is inside of Disneyland. It's not a separate park. There's not another gate or anything. They have to do crowd control specific to Disneyland, because Disneyland is a lot smaller than Disney World. And when it's busy, I can see why they're doing it this way and why they're making it very, very clear that they don't want people hanging around there hoping for a chance to get in. In Disney World, though, they've got twice as many parks and the parks are bigger. So I feel they could do the same thing. They could do those same reservations. Like, say, you still got your 4-hour block. But the difference is that it's not like you've got a bunch of people, sitting back at the hotels going, I got to wait until this time before I go. And it's like, there's nothing else for me to do. I feel that the East Coast is different in that they have a lot more flexibility and, telling people, it'll still be the same thing. It could still be the same reservations, but they know that, there's a lot more spaces for people to go when they're not waiting to get into Galaxy's Edge. I feel that we're really going to know more clearly after these first couple of weeks with Disneyland, though, whether or not they're going to do it. Because I think they're kind of waiting to see how crazy it really gets, or if they're like hitting capacity for an extended period of time, because that may actually govern when they go, okay, no, September, we're doing reservations straight through until November or something like that. So
I feel like, though, if they're going to do it, they got to do it from the beginning, right? Because, I mean, let's remember this, too. Disneyland is only doing this for the first month. After that, it's a free-for-all, right? So this is only for basically, was it May 31st to June 23rd? So only for the first couple weeks, even.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, if Disney Worlds were going to do it, I mean, you would think that they would do it for the first month or so, too. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what they're going to do.
I also think, too, is like I said, part of it is, the size, but also that, the reason that they're doing the staggered release is that you do have those extreme hardcore fans, right? And
people are going to be camping out outside of Hollywood Studios like a week beforehand. I guarantee if the Disney allows it, people will be camping.
Yeah, I don't discount that, but I think that, the people that really have to get in on it are going to do so at the, because on the West Coast, they're going to have this first month, but then they have the entire summer to get in there before the East Coast. So
yeah,
I feel that by the time by the time the East Coast opens up, Disney will have a much better gauge of exactly what they're looking at. But you're right. It's not like they can, decide a week beforehand, reservations for this time period. Like we're really going to have to know, I think, by, like middle of June at the latest.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right about that. They're going to have to figure it out quickly. But here's the thing. They've already set up the template for this, right? So
yeah.
And I would guarantee that if they're going to do this, they've already come up with the plans for it. Like they've already got the plans, and that they could just adjust based on what they learn at Disneyland, and if they decide to do it or not. But it does. I do find it very interesting that they're doing it two different ways for two different parks. Because listen, Disney World's bigger, but that also means there's a lot more guests there. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot more guests on property that are going to want to go to this thing. And I doubt Disney's going to allow people to camp out. I doubt that's going to happen. I guarantee they're going to have a huge security force, and they're not going to let anybody do that.
Yeah.
But,
and I mean, the other thing too, kind of the same challenges they hit at Pandora was, they can only let so many people through the gate. And if you've got, it's kind of the same problem if you think about it. The reason that they said, reservations only, there's no chance of you getting in, just randomly in Disneyland is that, it's not just a matter of, the people waiting to get into Star Wars Land. It's that those same people, if you've got, all those people waiting to get into Star Wars Land, those are people inside of Disneyland that aren't doing other stuff and that aren't, spending money, going on rides, doing all those other things. They're just standing in line waiting for this one place, right?
That's
so
true. Yeah.
I don't see them wanting to do that in Disney World either. I can't imagine them, being okay with a line that goes from Star Wars Land back down to like Tower of Terror.
Yeah, exactly. like past Gertie, past past all that stuff, all the way down to Tower of Terror. Can you imagine that? Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like they don't want that because that's just, that's people filling up the park that aren't doing anything else. So I think it's in their best interest to say, I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe what it is that I gotta wonder if they would actually go so far as to kill the standby queue.
Standby queue for, what do you mean? Like,
well, so sorry, it just popped into my head is, like for Smuggler's Run, if it's that busy that, everybody wants to be on it, but you can't,
like they'll just shut it down, be like, no more people allowed in. And then,
well, they'll just say, there won't be a standby queue. It'll be, you fast pass this or you're not getting on it.
Yeah, but there's no fast pass, right? So
but
that we know of yet.
By then there may be a fast pass, and it may be that they, maybe they can figure out like, maybe that's how they'll do it is because then that controls it as well. That controls that you can only get so many people, even if those people are inside of Galaxy's Edge, they're not getting on the ride. So it still allows people to go around Galaxy's Edge and buy the toys and go to the cantina and everything. But you're not getting on the ride unless you have a reservation, right? It's kind of the same thing as the
interesting, yeah,
as the reservation at Disneyland.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, and we would have to know by the end of June, right? Because it opens August 29th, right? So it would have to June 29th, I guess, is when people would be able to make their fast passes for that. So if they were going to release them for the opening, they'd have to do it by then.
Yep. I mean, maybe I'm totally out in left field here, but to me that seems like a reasonable way to control it.
Well, I mean, there was talk that they were going to do that a while ago with Toy Story Midway Mania before even Toy Story Land was being built. There was talk that they were going to do Fast Pass only and not have a standby line. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It's good crowd control, but I also like wandering into a line sometimes if it's short, you know? I mean, I always like doing the thing where, you know, you rope drop a ride, you know, let's say it's Soarin', and then you know, there's no wait, you go right onto it, and then you have your fast pass right afterwards, so you ride it like twice in a row. That's like my favorite thing to do. If you're talking about getting rid of the standby queue, it's gonna disappoint me. But
well, again, it wouldn't be a permanent thing, but I think you know, like for those first couple of months, that might be a reasonable course of action. Might be.
Yeah. So. Just you know, along with all this talk of you know, I don't know if there's anything else you want to mention about this, but we've talked about this for a while.
I think we've covered all the angles on this one for now until we have more information.
I agree, and so we have two rumors here that we've that have been reported by WDWNT. So of course these are rumors until Disney confirms these things. But you know, these are rumors from decently reliable source. And so one of the ones, and this one makes complete sense to me, is that roaming droids will not be available when Star Wars Land opens. So Disney's been testing out these droids that just kind of roam around the land, and we've talked about it on the show a couple times. And so I guess when the park opens, they're not going to have those, and that makes total sense because I mean, can you imagine those things? I'm just imagining a Roomba in like a box. Like just like bouncing off every single wall, like back and forth and back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, what is it going to do?
There's just stop because you know,
it would just shut down. Yeah. So I'm disappointed. I'm sad about it, but it makes total practical sense. I mean, I think.
Yeah, and really, I you know, get all the kinks sorted out before you start adding extra complexity to it. That's my thought on it.
Do the basics first, and then do the advanced crazy stuff that you're planning, right?
Yeah. Once the hype dies down in 2025, then they can start having roaming droids.
Did you say 2025?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah, that's funny. So the other rumor we have here too is we're talking about the Star Wars hotel. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so we haven't really talked about the Star Wars hotel in a while, but some of the things we do know is that they have broken ground on it. I guess they actually are starting to build up. I saw that like the second floor is under construction now or something like that. But the rumor is that the name of the Star Wars hotel is I can't even pronounce. Was the Chandrila?
Oh no, that's not the name of the hotel. That's the name of the Starliner. Yeah,
right. Sorry. Yeah. So the Starliner that takes you up there is called the Chandrila Starline, which I guess is related to where Kylo Ren was born. Which okay, and then where is it? The name of this hotel.
I got it. If you ever found it yet,
I'm looking for it here. Oh, here we go. Galactic Journeys, a Star Wars adventure. That's what they're calling this hotel?
That's what I say to that. I mean, come on. To me, this is on the same level as someone's going to kill me for this is Life Day from the Star Wars Christmas special. Like, it's on that... Star Wars... You're talking about the Star Wars Christmas special. Oh my gosh.
This is on the same level of cringy to me.
I agree, but let's be okay with this. They're saying in this article, no decision has been made yet. But the possible name has been pitched: Galactic Journeys, a Star Wars adventure.
And I remember we've had discussions like this in the past where we're like, no, there's no way that they would pick a name like that, and like it's like Reflections, right? Like,
yeah. Do you remember we were talking about the possible Hollywood Studios names, and they were all so bad? There wasn't like one in there that was even remotely good.
Yeah. Whoever comes up with these ideas, like,
I think about it to myself. It's like if you called it Star Wars Hotel, it wouldn't matter. People would still come. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, you could call it that, and Star Wars Hotel. And I don't know what I would call it. I get it. I do feel like there's like an overuse of the term galactic when it comes to Star Wars stuff. I feel like they use it for everything, you know?
Yeah.
but I don't know. Galactic Journey's just. Ugh.
Well, but then Galactic Journey's a Star Wars adventure. Like, I understand that, it's supposed to be, an interactive thing. It's not just a hotel. There's an experience there and everything.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, come on, guys, you're Disney. You can be more creative than that.
I agree with you, and I hope that this is. I mean, obviously, this is not final, right? So there's definite chance they can change this. There's a lot of stuff can change with this. I think a lot of this is still. I don't want to say a lot of it is still in the planning period because it's not really. It seems. I mean, they're building it, right? So, but I'm sure there's still some things to be decided, and this is one of those things. But if they threw out a survey, I feel like this would not be one of the favored names. I just don't feel like it would.
No, to me, it's like they could call it, something from within the universe, right? Like,
well, you're exactly right, because the only people staying at this hotel are going to be hardcore Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
you could make a super deep reference if you wanted to.
The Coruscant Hospitality Inn, like, that would be better.
See, I don't even know what that is because I'm not that hardcore of a Star Wars fan. So. Hospitality Inn. That's amazing.
But it's on Coruscant. It's the planet that's like a giant city. Like the whole planet is covered in just one big city. It's Interesting. It's in the prequels. Yeah.
Or
Kashyyyk,
I actually
if you want Wookiees. Like, I don't know, but
I'm not gonna lie. I never saw the prequels, but
it's okay. I don't fault you for that.
I was told by many a Star Wars fan to ignore them, so I decided to ignore them.
It's fine. Yeah.
I'll say this now, and we don't usually talk about movies on this podcast. We do sometimes, but I have really liked a lot of these side Star Wars movies. Like I actually like Solo. I know a lot of people didn't. I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. I loved Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was great, but I hate that they throw a Star Wars story on the end of it. Like, why does it got to be Rogue One a Star Wars story? That drives me nuts. Like,
yeah.
I get that they have to tie it into the famous franchise, but I feel like I wish they could have done a more eloquent, way of doing that.
Yeah. I guess. Well, it's like the Marvel movies, right? Well, I guess they all have Avengers, or I guess the problem is that Star Wars is so ambiguous. Like,
yeah,
nowhere, like, Star Wars is the name of the series, but nowhere in the Star Wars universe do they mention Star Wars.
Yeah,
like it's like the fight between the Empire and the Rebellion, and like it's kind of weird that way.
Yeah, I just hope it's not that name. I mean, if it is, it's whatever. I don't think anybody's going to see the name and be like, well, screw this, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to do that. But it's going to be like Star Wars Land. It's going to be like, Galaxy's Edge. Everyone's going to call it Star Wars Land. This is just going to be the Star Wars Hotel. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's
a lot easier to say than Galactic Journeys, a Star Wars adventure.
I mean, that is a mouthful.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So we'll see. I mean, again, this is a rumor until otherwise. So, we're not going to pretend like this is for sure for real yet. So,
yeah, I hope it's wrong. I really hope this is wrong. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Even if it is the name of it, like, I'm not gonna write this off. I still want to stay there. But
yeah, exactly.
But I firmly believe that, maybe this was a matter of, whoever had this rumor, somebody, mentioned it, and, internally, it makes sense for them, to kind of describe the things a little more verbose than, what the end product ends up being. Maybe that's what this is that, somebody's, describing it as, this is, Galactic Journeys is the theme of it. But I hope that at the end that they decide on something that makes a little bit more sense than, or, well, I should say something that doesn't feel like
that, like, represents it a little more.
Yeah. It's so, yeah.
it's almost too on the nose, you know. It's like it's almost too on the nose.
Yeah, it's painfully obvious what it is. Like,
yeah.
I
don't know. Well, I think we've talked enough about Star Wars, and if you listen to our show and you hate Star Wars, I'm sorry that we've talked so much about it. But
maybe we can go back and do an edit at like 20 minutes in and say, if you want to listen to the rest, skip to like an hour and 20 minutes in, and then we stop talking.
I want everyone to listen to all of us talking. So
fair, but again, no, you're giving them a courtesy if they don't like Star Wars.
You're just giving me more work here to edit in later. I mean, you think I just got all the time in the world to be editing these things?
Isn't editing magic? It just happens.
I mean, obviously, we
do a montage and we're good.
It's just magical, yeah. All this wonderful quality podcast that comes to you just happens by accident. It's computer magic.
Exactly.
So anyway, all right, we talked enough about Star Wars. Let's talk about this other thing.
Yeah, So right in front of Star Wars is Mickey's Runaway Railway.
Yeah,
well, it will be, but it'll be a little bit longer. So
I'm so upset about this. I'm not even. I'm so bummed about this. So Disney did like a combo announcement where I'm not going to say this was shady by them, but it was like interesting they did it this way. Yeah, it is the way to do this, right? So they announced, and we talked about this being a rumor, I don't know, like 5 shows ago, that they were going to put Mickey's Runaway Railway at Disneyland. And so now it has been officially announced that it will be coming to Mickey's Toontown at Disneyland. And so they're going to be building that. And what are they saying, 2022?
Yeah, and it's not replacing Roger Rabbit, just so everyone's clear on that.
Yeah. What is it replacing? I didn't see what it was replacing.
It's not replacing anything. They're actually using some of the backlot space. It's going to be near where Roger Rabbit is. There's, I can't remember what there's all these like doors and stuff that don't go anywhere right now, but it's going to be next to Roger Rabbit. It's not replacing it.
Oh, well, that's good. It's probably why it's going to take them 3 years to build it, because they got to build a whole new structure. They're not replacing another ride, right? So, but tucked inside this announcement, just, kind of a little piece in there, it mentioned that the Hollywood Studios version of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway will not open until spring 2020, which, if you've been listening to the show, initially they announced, and the last time we heard an update about this ride, they had said fall 2019. So now we know that this has been delayed, which is really disappointing to me, because I was hopeful for my vacation the first week of October. I was actually more excited about this ride than I was about Star Wars being open for that vacation. And I'll tell you why, because I don't even know if I'm going to go to Star Wars Land. And I know that sounds blasphemous to any Star Wars people out there, and I know we talk about it a lot on the show, so you're like, Tom, why wouldn't you go to Star Wars Land? I don't know if I want to deal with all that. You know what I mean? I gotta
right there with you, man.
Yeah, like I got a 1.5-year-old. Like, I don't know if I want to deal with pulling a stroller through Galaxy's Edge, right? So I can wait. Like, everyone has heard on this show before, I like Star Wars. I'm not like a super crazy fan. So there's nothing wrong with being a super crazy fan, but I don't feel like I need to get in there early, right? But for me, and we've talked about this before, Trevor and I are total nerds when it comes to like the technology that Disney invents for certain things. And this ride is so cool. Like, all the cool stuff they're putting in this is so cool, and I just want to ride it. And I'm just disappointed it's not going to be there until spring of 2020. It's a bummer.
Yeah, and I feel the same way, because I'm there the month after you, and I was secretly going, even if I can't get into Star Wars Land, everyone else will be lined up, waiting to get into Galaxy's Edge, and I'll be over here getting on Mickey's Runaway Railway, and nobody will know what's going on, right?
Exactly.
Let's be honest. I'm sure people will know.
Well, I do wonder though if this has something to do with Galaxy's Edge. I wonder if this has to do with the moved up opening, right? Maybe they took some resources away, to speed up the opening of Galaxy's Edge.
Or maybe it is just a timing thing, is that, Disney is being reasonable and going, okay, if we're dropping, Star Wars Land at the end of August, is it really a smart idea to, release that and then throw another ride in the same park, like literally just down the road from Galaxy's Edge,
Yeah.
throw up another brand new experience at the same time. Like Hollywood studios would be packed. It would be wall to wall people, like every single day. Yeah, like I mean, to be fair, like the last couple times I've been there, it's it's busy, and like Toy Story Land was busy, but honestly, Toy Story Land didn't feel as busy to me as Pandora did the first time that I went.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be different when Star Wars Lands hits. And so, yeah, why would they submit themselves to that much more punishment?
That's true. I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Spread it out, take your time, make sure you get it right. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, the other side of it too is, this is Mickey Mouse's first ride, which is,
huge.
That's crazy when you think about we've gotten this far with Disneyland and Disney World. And this is the first time that Mickey Mouse has been in a ride, not in an attraction. I know like there's, filler magic and stuff, like he's been in attractions, but this is the first ride that actually has Mickey Mouse.
Can we talk about the fact that Mickey's PhilharMagic is not even about Mickey? Like Mickey's name shouldn't even be on there. It's Donald.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I'll give you that one.
All right, that's fair. I don't know why that just came out of me right now, but it just
you're actually right. Really the whole thing does actually follow Donald. But I guess if I wanted to make that same argument, I could say Mickey and the Magical Map, because that's a Mickey Mouse show that specifically revolves around Mickey. But again, we don't have any rides that have Mickey Mouse, which for being the big mouse, I'm surprised we got this far without it.
Yeah.
But also too, the other thing about it is that I really like, and I'm setting myself up to be really disliked by a lot of people, I'm sure, again. I do like the Disney shorts, that the new ones that they do with
I like it too.
Yeah, with Mickey and Donald and all that. I do like those. I like the way that they present them, and I think it's really, like I'm so excited to see that in real 2.5D, like
2.5D.
Yeah,
that is what Disney's calling it.
Yeah. So yeah, it sucks. Same thing as, I hope that, maybe we could have snuck that in instead of going to Galaxy's Edge, maybe if it came down to it, but that's fine. Then I guess I have a reason to plan a trip for spring.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, who knows what spring means? I love they throw out these like seasons, and they're just like, that's a huge amount of time. Who knows when that actually means, right?
Well, around here, spring is a very loose term. So for those, or so that everyone else is in on the joke there, is that's that I sent Tom a picture of my front door today, and it was completely covered in snow. And yes, it is the end of April here. And yes, in Calgary, it snowed last night to the point where like I spent 30 minutes shoveling my driveway.
Yeah, it was like 85 degrees here today.
Yeah. So
well, listen, I'd rather be cold. I mean, anyway, it was sweltering hot, and no one seemed to want to use air conditioning today. So, but that's besides the point. But
air conditioning is outside. But yeah, so for me, this is coming second winter next year. So
second winter, that's not like it. Yeah, I don't know. How do you feel as like a Disneyland? I don't want to say Disneyland regular, but you were somebody that went to, you were going to Disneyland every year before you started going back to Disney World. Like, are you cool with this being added to that section of the park? I mean, it seems like it fits in perfectly.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, Mickey's Toontown is. I really want it to be more than it is, because when it opened up back in the 90s, I thought it was wonderful. I was a kid, it was, I was a little old for it, but I was, willing to let it slide, because it was right after Roger Rabbit came out, and that's why there's the Roger Rabbit ride there. And it is Toontown. Like it's how you imagine a cartoon town would look. And it's got that very, everything's bright, everything is awesome there, but
cartoony.
Yeah. But when it opened, there was a lot more to do there. And as time has gone by, they've pulled things out. Like there was a little Chip and Dale treehouse there. Goofy had his boat. Goofy had a bounce house, which a side note to that is that the bounce house, I remember this, is that it was like in his living room, it was like bouncy, but then the fireplace in his living room was not. Like, it was an actual solid piece. And so I distinctly remember watching this kid like jumping around, and he tried to jump against the the fireplace, and he like bounced off of it, and he was shocked and like not sure what to think of himself, but he knew he hurt because he hit this hard plastic thing. And so a lot of that stuff in Toontown has disappeared over the years. And really now it's just, there's Roger Rabbit, there's Gadget's Go Coaster, which is, if you've been on the Barnstormer, it's effectively
the same thing.
Yeah, it's the Barnstormer. And then there's meet and greets at Mickey and Minnie's house with Mickey and Minnie. But it's, it is it's supposed to be a kid's land, but there's not a lot for kids to do there, which is it's kind of sad. And I feel that, them bringing another ride to it definitely, it gives it a little more attention. It gives it that, a little bit more of that, reason for people to go there, and, for kids to, hang out there more than, I went and saw Mickey. Okay, let's go do the rest of the park kind of thing. So
especially a family friendly ride like that. Where everybody can go on it. It's not going to, it's not a thrill ride. But it's going to be a fun, cool ride, right? It's like Haunted Mansion. It's good for everybody, right? So
yeah. The one thing though that I'm a little concerned about is that Toontown actually closes earlier than the rest of the park usually.
Well, I mean, maybe that'll change once this ride opens, because they made a big deal out of it. So I would think that they're gonna really make it like a marquee attraction.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, that'll be interesting to see if they actually extend the hours, because if you got a brand new ride and then telling everyone, sorry, the park closes at 9, but you got to get out of here at 8, like
that would be bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So we're running out of time here, so we got a couple more topics to cover. So let's move on to some other things. But I'm sad. So
okay. So
wrap
one
up.
of these,
I'm sad.
One of these is quick. So all right.
Is this quick? This one?
Well, okay. Rivers of Light, getting a revamp. I don't like Rivers of Light.
I know. a lot of people don't like it. I think it's a great show, but
I guess this is why it's getting a revamp.
I mean, 2 years in, it's getting a revamp. It's only been open for 2 years.
Yeah. Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We talked about this on one of our early shows a couple years ago. It's only been open for a couple of years now, and it's just, I mean, I get why people don't like it, because it's slow. It doesn't have fireworks. It doesn't have explosions. It's, it's very much like I'm being serious. I've said to people before.
I know what you're saying. It's just like, if it doesn't have explosions, I'm not interested.
I swear to you, I've said to people before on Facebook, if you like your nighttime shows to look like a Michael Bay movie, then this is probably not the one for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's true, because there's no fireworks, and that's understandable. There's animals in the area. You don't want to startle the animals with the fireworks. And I think it's a beautiful show. And I mean, I'm not one of those, character zealots where I'm like, okay, no characters can be in Animal Kingdom or Epcot or whatever. But I mean, I do like the fact that they have some attractions that are character free. Illuminations is character free. I like that. I mean, that's kind of nice. And what they're going to do now with Rivers of Light, We Are One is what they're calling it. They're going to introduce some characters, some Disney characters from Disney Animation. They're also going to introduce some Disney music. Here's when I'm reading this. And by the way, this is going to debut Memorial Day weekend. I'm reading this and thinking to myself, is this really going to change anybody's mind, throwing some Disney music and some Disney imagery in there? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to go now and like this show because they threw some characters in there that you know?
Well, okay. So the other part that you didn't mention was they're also tying in the Disney nature films as well.
Yes, they are. You're right.
So it's not just animated Disney characters. They're also bringing in, like, they do the penguins and monkeys and all that. And I see where they're kind of tying that into it. I feel that when I do watch a show and I see a character that I like, that does resonate with me. I know
you can connect with it more because it's a character
Yeah, but that's not to say, again, that doesn't take away from your point about Illuminations and everything. Is some shows are good just on their own merit, and it's a well-designed show. However, yeah, like I said, you're going to Disney, you're kind of expecting to see Disney-related stuff, and when you're waiting for a nighttime show and it's just like a water, like a fountain show or something like that, and it doesn't have any real relation or connection to anything, you kind of I guess the way I look at it is it takes me back to when I was a kid. We would do trips to we would go to California, we would go to Disneyland, and then my parents would actually take us to Vegas, of all places. And the reason for that is that back then,
so you could gamble.
No, actually they didn't.
I was saying so you could gamble as a kid.
Oh, so the 12-year-old could gamble. Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah, so the reason for that was back then they had places. There was MGM, the MGM Grand and Circus. They had these hotels that kind of had mini theme parks in them, and I remember a lot of those places they had shows and stuff. So I think, I don't know if they still do it at Caesar's Palace or not, but they had there's a big fountain there and the statues actually came to life and they did a whole show and everything. And while that was cool, that didn't stick with me as well as seeing the fireworks at Disney or seeing things that were very clearly Disney, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So I think this is kind of the problem that Rivers of Light is having, is that, it's definitely a Disney production, and it's definitely, it's in a Disney park, but it seems like it doesn't have any more identity than any, just random show that you would see somewhere. I think, yeah, this is them trying to find a way to get it to resonate with people a little bit more. So, obviously, Disney has a lot of IPs, so why not use those in the show? Kind of makes sense to me.
I mean, makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. I wonder, it sounds like they're just going to throw some animated movies in there. I mean, I don't think we couldn't see Black Panther in there. That wouldn't even make any sense.
Yeah, well.
And plus they can't. But
animated Black Panther is still not an animal, Tom.
I know, but it's a Black Panther.
I know he has Panther in his name, but that doesn't qualify him for...
I was just imagining Disney just going off the rails with this and just being like, it's like, oh, Black Panther's popular. Let's throw him in there. He's got Panther in the name.
Rivers of Light, Wakanda forever.
Oh my God. I saw somebody speculate the other day that they're going to turn Dinoland USA into Wakanda. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. First of all, it's not a big enough space. What could you really do that's Wakanda oriented in that space? And secondly, then what do you do with dinosaur? There's a problem.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The idea of doing an entire water pageant show about Wakanda is kind of amusing now.
We can't happen anyway because they can't do any Marvel stuff in the park. So,
well, they can. It's just not the like Spider-Man or X-Men or anything like that.
I had always thought it was all Marvel except for Guardians, because Guardians came recently and didn't count.
Well, so did Black Panther.
No, I mean the actual comic Guardians of the Galaxy got created fairly recently, and Black Panther's been around a long time. Yeah.
Right.
I think so. It wasn't included in the deal, I guess, but anyway. Yeah. But we're on our usual tangent. So let's talk about unless there's anything else you want to mention about this.
Let's go to a show that I think we both care about a little bit more. So
I don't.
Really?
No, it's not that I don't care about it. It's just I've never seen it because I've never been there during Halloween. So
okay, all right, fair.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it makes sense that this is happening.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, HalloWishes is going away. So yeah, I think we all knew with Happily Ever After coming in and Wishes going away, it doesn't make sense to keep HalloWishes. So
no, it doesn't, because I mean, there's no more wishes, so why would you still have HalloWishes, right? So
yeah, so I mean, again, I've seen HalloWishes. I really liked HalloWishes, but you know, they've kind of set a bar with Happily Ever After.
Yeah,
and I would dare to say that it's probably my favorite nighttime show right now.
Wow,
and that's also with seeing Paint the Night, which I know you haven't seen Paint the Night either, but Paint the Night was pretty phenomenal. But Happily Ever After kind of hits me a different way. Yeah,
and it seems like from what's being reported here is that it's going to be very similar. It's going to use a lot of those effects from Happily Ever After, which makes total sense. The projection effects, the lasers, the lighting, the fireworks, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, and you know, bring it on, because you know, I do kind of want to see Chernobog across the castle.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff they could do with this. It sounds like from this article, the show will take guests on a trick-or-treating adventure where Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy find themselves drawn into a mysterious haunted house. The journey takes them from one room of the house to another, encountering dancing skeletons, waltzing ghosts, and a whole series of troublemaking Disney villains. So it sounds cool.
Yeah, I can totally see that in my mind. I you know, think about all the effects that they do in Happily Ever After, and it's like, yeah, that you know that's something that would be. And I guess for anyone that's thinking about this, you know, there is doing the Halloween party, but they also have the dessert party as well for the fireworks during the Halloween party, which it's another, you know, it's another ticketed event on top of a ticketed event, which
it's an upsell and an upsell.
Yeah. But again, you know, if you're committing to, you know, you're going to the Halloween party that day and you're not doing anything else, I think having a front row seat for this kind of show would be something I would consider.
Yeah, that's true. You know, with a better show like that, you would probably be more likely to try to get a reserved seat for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing. I know some people are going to be sad that it's gone, but you know, much like they missed Wishes. But I mean, if it's a superior show, I don't think you should be sad that it's gone. I mean, as much as I liked Wishes, Happily Ever After is a better show, and I know some people will argue that and say that Wishes was better, and you know, that's, I guess, personal preference, but I mean, you're talking about I believe Happily Ever After has the most fireworks of any Disney show that they've ever made. Like, it's got the projections that are amazing, the music's great, you know, the whole thing is so well put together. It's hard not to like it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I try to swing it as, you know, it's not necessarily that the show is better, it's different. Like, you know,
yeah,
it's not that, I know they're all nighttime shows, but it's not to say that, you know, Wishes was a bad show, because
absolutely not.
Wishes was a good show, but you know, Happily Ever After it's a different show, and I've learned that, you know, different is good. Different is how we get these shows that we actually, you know, the shows like Wishes that we love. Because if they didn't try and do something different, then, you know, it gets to a point where it's so predictable. Like,
yep.
I mean, look at Illuminations, right? As much as, you know, we all liked Illuminations, it's become repetitive. It's become dated. Yeah. And so they have to do something different. So yeah, I'm fine with that. And like I said, you know, I liked HalloWishes, but I am very excited to see how this new one plays out, because they've set themselves a pretty high bar for it.
Absolutely. All right. So we're almost out of time here. So let's talk about this last rumor really quick here.
For sure.
And so this is, again, a rumor from WDWNT, who does have some good sources. So, you know, again, but take all these things with a grain of salt, because we don't know if they're true or not. And what the rumor is, and, you know, there's been a lot of rumors going around for quite a while since the Main Street Electrical Parade went away, you know, and I did get to see it before it went away, which was good. but that there would be a new nighttime show that would debut before or by the 50th anniversary of Disney World in 2021. This rumor is saying that there will be no new nighttime parade, that there's no parade in the works. But they do say that their sources indicate that a new nighttime show is coming to Walt Disney World for its 50th birthday, specifically for Magic Kingdom, just not a parade. So I guess my thing is that bums me out. I mean, I love I just bring back the Main Street Electrical Parade. I don't need to, just bring that back. I'm cool. You don't need to pick another one. I'm serious. Well, like, I don't even need an update on that one.
Okay, but so, and again, I will say this because I've seen both, is that Paint the Night is an upgrade to the Electrical Parade. So if they were going to bring anything,
Paint the Night, then
yeah. Well, I mean that was something that I've been hoping they would do for years as well, is that they would bring Paint the Night to the East Coast, but so far it's still only on the West Coast. But as far as them not doing a parade goes, that's kind of, I mean, we haven't had a parade there for a long time, or an evening parade.
No,
which I mean, I like them I liked it during the Halloween. During the Halloween event, and we're going to go to the Christmas event, and I'm sure I will like it there as well. I guess my question is do we really need to have an evening parade? Because they do have the daytime parade as well. Does there need to be two parades going in Magic Kingdom?
For a lot of people, there does. I mean, I don't know if there needs to be. I mean, parades have really gone by the wayside, right? I mean, there's only Festival of Fantasy anymore, right? That's the only parade that Disney World has anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, right? That's so, and
yeah, because they do the Stormtrooper stuff in Hollywood Studios, which is not
a parade in the traditional sense, but a parade of sorts. Yeah. The March of the First Order. That's what it's called. So there's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else outside of that. I actually kind of feel like this is like an operational decision. And what I mean by that is, like, the amount of work it takes for them to tape off, areas for the parades, squish all these people in. And then when the parade's over, the mad rush to the exit or to the castle or wherever you're going. Yeah, it's a mess, right? And I almost just wonder if they just don't want that anymore. Like, if they've just decided that it's a better guest experience to not deal with that. Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's true or not. It could just be budget. I don't know, but yeah.
Because I mean, they do it during the day for like it's not that they don't know how to do it, because they do it during the day. But then, yeah, like you said, you think about it in the evening. Right now, they're doing. I feel like they have to give up something in order to do it, because they do a lot of nights. They do the fireworks twice, right? Like they'll do like an 8 p.m. and a 10 p.m. If you did, fireworks at 8 and then a parade at 9, or even fireworks before the 8, or a parade before the 8 o'clock show, which I don't know how you can do that some months because of when the sun goes down. Yeah, you're right. It's very hard to, you've got a bunch of people in the hub for the fireworks, and then, trying to get people to spread out along the parade route, because, most people just want to sit on Main Street when a parade comes by instead of going into like Adventureland, or not Adventureland, Frontierland. So yeah, it really is a logistical nightmare to do it, which I don't fault them for that. But again, I guess part of it too is, I'm of the opinion, parades are nice. I've definitely sat and watched parades, and I do enjoy them. But in my last couple of trips to Disney World, I haven't really missed having the nighttime parade. With that caveat though of, there's still a nighttime show. There's still the fireworks. So,
and all the parks have at least one nighttime show, right? So all the parks have at least something, now. I mean, even if you don't like Rivers of Light over at Animal Kingdom, go and watch the Tree of Life come awake. Whole thing. That thing's amazing too.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just little stuff like that. So, but I get it. I understand why people miss the nighttime parade, because Main Street Electrical Parade holds like a special place in my heart. It's like like the first memory I have of Disney as a kid. I remember having this visor. That it was a visor. And listen, everyone,
the plastic visor. Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The plastic visor, and it had the 4 LED lights on the top and a little battery pack.
Yeah,
and you'd flip the battery pack on, and the LED lights would blink, right? And listen, everyone, before you kill me on this, it was the 90s, okay? So this was acceptable at the time. This is as were fanny packs, okay? Everyone was wearing fanny packs too. So it's got like a special place, to me in my heart. So it is sad to me that it's gone and that we're not going to see it again. And maybe there's not going to be another show. But at the same time, if there was another show, I don't know. I mean, it couldn't take that nostalgia away from me, right? And so I think that's a lot of the ways that people feel about Wishes and Happily Ever After, right? It's not that they don't acknowledge that Happily Ever After is a better show. It's that Wishes is nostalgic for them, right? It's something that they remember, and
you're never going to fill that hole.
Exactly, you're never going to replace that hole, and that's the thing. So, yeah, I mean, would I love to see a new nighttime show? Yeah, I would, but I also know that if you're trying to get out of the park at 9:00 at night and there's a parade going through, it's borderline impossible to get out of Magic Kingdom. So.
That's why we watched when we were there, we were watching the fireworks from the ferry. Like as we were leaving, it was like, oh, look at the fireworks. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what ends up happening. Right. So,
yeah.
Well, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah,
let's wrap this thing up. We've been talking for almost 2 hours here, so let's wrap it up before I lose my voice here.
Yeah. You need to go have some chicken soup or something. So while you go prepare your tea and settle down for the night, I'll mention our email address. So for anything we talked about here, or any questions or any comments or anything, you can reach us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. And yeah, I mean, obviously, we're planning to have the guys from DVC
Resale.
Oh my gosh, from DVC Rental or no?
What?
I cannot speak today.
I thought you were
DVC
kidding.
Resale market.
I thought you were kidding.
I totally blanked it. I was like, what is that word again? But yeah. Yeah, this is what happens when we've been talking for this long. So,
I know,
we do have, or we will have DVC Resale Market on the show coming up here in the next little while. So, if you guys have questions for us, we will put it out on Facebook as well. So, actually, if you want to reach us on Facebook, we are at Welcome Home Podcast. Twitter and Instagram are there as well. Welcome Home Pod and Welcome Home Pics. Those are, if you choose not to use Facebook, you'll get notifications on those platforms. But really, we post most of our stuff on Facebook. So you can, definitely interact with us more there. And yeah, like I said, we will put up a post asking for those questions. But if you guys want to email us ahead of time, we like that as well. And we do love hearing from you guys. We also, if you are subscribing to us through iTunes or Google Play or whatever, we do like to get those reviews. They do help with the visibility. They do help other people find the podcast. Just, give us, be nice with your review. Don't just tell us we suck because, I mean, it's fine if you think that. I'm okay with that. But
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me why, though, at least.
Tell us why.
Yeah.
And, of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app that's available. If you search for Welcome Home and look for the Disney one, that is us, and you can go ahead and subscribe to us. Of course, just a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own, so please consult a DVC representative, a cast member for more information. Thank you again to DVC Resale Market for sponsoring this episode. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more DVC talk. And now is the part of the podcast where I tell spoilers from Endgame.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl. here comes